You are now listening to the Lasting Legacy Podcast.
What's up, everybody? Another episode of the Lasting Legacy Podcast. Before we start, be sure to go down and comment on this episode. The podcast is dying, so more comments help our algorithm to keep it alive. We appreciate that so much. So today we are talking with Paul Andrada. Is that right? Okay.
That's it.
I was so worried about that. So anyway, so Paul's a mortgage loan officer for Advantage Home Mortgage, and he also owns Fast, which is a gym out here, I guess. So we'll end up talking about that some more in detail. And he had an extensive career in the car industry, also as selling cars and stuff. So a little bit of everything in the cars, I believe.
Yep.
So it'll be an interesting episode. So we'll see what we get into, man.
Excited.
Thanks for coming in.
Cool. Thanks for having me, guys.
Heck yeah, I'm David. I own David Took It Photography, Videography, and I usually ask all the questions around here, man. So let's just get right into it. First off, thanks for coming out, and second off, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. There's a lot to you, but
Well, Paul Andrada Jr. I'm married, father of four. Business owner. It's kind of weird saying that because I didn't get into it to be a business owner. I just did it for my team and my kids, but I own Fast. I was fortunate enough to be in the car business for over 20 years. It allowed me to do other things. Coached at East High School for 13 years football, and coached on the youth level as well. But then, I was able to get my business started off some of the connections I made being a coach at East. And so I'm blessed in that sense, and I've loved every minute of it and still rolling. Like you said, Advantage Mortgage, I'm a loan officer now. Nice. Still got my sales license hung at Pueblo Toyota, so I'll sell a couple cars a month to my friends and family. But, yeah, that's me.
that's awesome, man. Yeah, you're definitely a lot of layers like an onion for sure. We'll touch on the football stuff real quick, and then we'll get down to the nitty-gritty. But what year did you start coaching football in East, to put it in perspective?
Well, I started in 2000. I did it for a year and a half. I wouldn't call myself a coach then, though, because I was still young and kind of just doing it part-time. But 2007 is when I actually started with the new staff that came in right after Coach Rick Upchurch left, and then I was part of David Ramirez's staff.
Okay.
We came in. We were it's kind of a funny story. We were 0-10 the 2 seasons previous to when we started. We thought we were going to turn that around in 1 year, being young dudes and thinking we knew it. We went 0-10. Actually, we went 1-9. I'm lying. We won one game. It was at Mitchell High School, and it was like we won the state title.
Oh, for sure.
And slowly but surely, the next year we made the playoffs. And then just continued to get better and better, and then we won 3 state titles back to back
huge,
to back.
Damn.
Yeah, and
That's
so.
insane.
It was cool to be a part of building that program and seeing the culture change at the school that I grew up in, which is East.
For sure.
And I'm very proud of that. So
Yeah,
thanks
of
for
course.
asking about
absolutely.
that.
Yeah, no, exactly. Now, you said that you were taking some of the connections you had made from, your coaching time. I'm sure you meet a lot of parents, and they find out what you do outside of there. And at that time, you were already selling cars, correct?
Yes.
What year did you start selling cars?
I sold cars in 1997 is when I started. I was 21 years old. Got into it.
What got you into it?
Funny story. I had a teacher. Her name was Mrs. Sturk. She was my biology teacher at East High School. And she was a young blonde lady, She was younger and blonde. And we were high school guys. And the way you flirt with your teacher is by being ornery, right? That's what I did. And she used to cry. Me and my friends and me and my friends that grew up, we were ornery, and we'd send her home crying, and to her husband, whose name is Jim Sturk, and he was the general manager at Spradley Chevrolet. He comes in, I'm selling computers at Circuit City.
Old school.
Yeah, old school. And he's like, yeah, exactly. So he comes in, sees my name, he's like, "You're the dude that used to make my wife cry."
Shit.
And I was like, yeah. Anyway, we got to talk, we laughed, and he was super cool. And he's like, "Why don't you come apply at Spradley Chevrolet?" And he's like, I think you could do cars." And I was like, "What? Cars? Selling cars?" I never thought of it, and I did, and I'm so grateful that I did, man. it made me grow up. Those guys, those old school car guys, raised me basically.
For sure, yeah.
They really did, man. And like I said, I did it for over 20 years, and lots of cool stuff that happened in those years.
For sure, yeah. What are some of the highlights that had happened that kind of stand out to you?
Making some decent money. Like I come from the east side, and didn't really know like the potential of what kind of money you could make out there. And in car sales, it's a hustle job. The harder you go, the more you work, the more money you make. And I like that concept, And so just always being able to, if I had the right frame of mind to bring home a good paycheck and to meet all the different people that you meet, the different walks of life, and overcoming objections.
For sure.
That's a highlight to me, because I think that's kind of what life's about, overcoming objections, or at least learning how to deal with them. And so, I call myself an old school car guy, and I'm really proud of that. So,
yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Going into your future business, 20 years of hearing no. As a business owner now, hearing no, you almost expect it, and you're already ready for it.
Oh, man.
A lot of people are scared to hear the word no.
Exactly. And it's cool that you brought that up, because they are, and I don't even think of it like that. And it helped me in my coaching career.
Yeah.
It helped me in my coaching career, learning how to deal with people, and then you take that and learn how to deal with kids, And so, like, I'm just a natural coach just from being a car salesman.
For sure, yeah, absolutely.
And I've always liked the fact that I wanted to help the people at my desk. I'd get in trouble for it sometimes, don't you want to make money? And it's like, yeah, I want to make a little bit, but I want to hook them up too. I like them.
Yeah.
And so
for sure.
That was cool.
I know we talked a little bit off camera about, the difference of, the old school guys versus the new tactics and stuff like that. Like, what are some of those key differences that set you apart as like an old school car salesman and the new stuff that's going out?
Well, I remember when we started, the internet was starting to get a little bit popular, and I remember they would come and do seminars for us and tell us, the internet is going to be the new way, and we'd be like, yeah, right, and you'd sit there and be like, they ain't never going to know our cost, they ain't never going to, and I'm going to go tell David, with 10,000 down, his payments are going to be $700 a month, and and you just thought that that's what it was.
Yeah.
Because nobody ever told you different. Well, as people became more and more educated and the industry became more competitive, you had to be straight up right off the first pencil, they call it.
Oh, for sure.
Or you'd lose them, because people don't have to put up with that. And that always made me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Is having to go and act like you had to come up with a huge
It's like they
down
knew the ace that was already in your pocket.
Yeah, and it's like, just be straight up, and it worked out. And so the difference is it made you become more and more straight up and cut all the BS out, the internet did.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I would say from back in the day to now. There's so much information out there that
sure.
You get it, and if you don't want to abide by it, then you ain't going to sell cars.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
I literally bought my car from Carvana. Like, they just from the internet dropped it off and then left.
Simple.
Such a weird
crazy,
process.
yeah.
Think about in the '97, that would have been like,
Yeah.
I was going to say, that transition through, obviously the whole .com stuff, where you can have your inventory online. I'm sure at some point people were like, hey, I saw this car online. Do you guys have it? And you're like, I don't know. Let me go check. And you're like, oh, shit, we do have it. How'd you know it was here?
You do get exposed sometimes because people, I catch myself doing it.
Yeah, no, for
you
sure.
go through everybody. And
oh, yeah. I'll show up to Best Buy and I'm like, hey, you have this thing in the back. And they're like, what? Yeah. No, go look. I know it's back there.
Or what about when they say, no, I don't? And you're like, yeah, you kind of do.
Yeah,
but
whatever.
Yeah. Online says you have 20 quantity. I don't think you're missing 20,
I'm
buddy.
looking for that open box one, though,
Exactly.
Yeah, that's got to be crazy. And, I'm sure in the beginning, were they pushing MySpace to grow your platform and you as a salesman? So now you have your funny photo on MySpace and you're like, hey, posting a bulletin. If anybody needs a car, reach out. That's got to be so weird. I couldn't imagine.
It was weird, and I thought I heard one of you guys say something about Gary Vee.
Yeah.
He talked about I heard him one time on a podcast saying, how Facebook and Instagram is like people from 20 years ago wish they had that free advertising.
Sure, yeah.
And when I heard that, I started like I'll take credit for this, that I'm one of the first guys that use social media to bring people to me in the car business.
That's smart. Yeah.
And I did it with, posting about my life. It wasn't just, hey, come see me for a car and this great deal. I'd post my kids' achievements, just monumental stuff that happened in my life, cool stuff. I'd always be posting it so people felt like they knew me.
For sure.
Yeah. And Gary Vee kind of taught me that long time ago.
Yeah.
And it worked out for me. I mean, I bet you 80% of my business that I do in loans and in cars is word of mouth.
For sure.
Or social media.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, it's super advantageous. It really is.
No, absolutely. I feel like friends and family kind of support you in the beginning, but I mean, you only have so many,
Yeah.
but eventually it just comes down to word of mouth referrals. Like, yo, this guy was straight up, he didn't try and get me, he gave me a fair trade in, whatever the case may be. And that's what keeps people coming back, is your product. If Brad was an asshole, I don't think anybody would go to Brad, but he's a really nice guy. So you should go check him out. But, I mean, so like 97, you said?
97.
God, I was like 3, but, yeah, but, so what were some of the car trends at that time? Like what was the car to have in 97?
In 97, well, I sold Chevys downtown on 10th and Santa Fe.
Oh, wow. The old Motor City part of town.
Yeah. But the Chevy Silverado was always cool. The Tahoe, do you remember the 2-door Tahoe?
Yeah.
The 2-door Tahoe, and you guys probably remember the Super Sport Impala.
Yep.
We had that, and so I had a good little range of vehicles there. I mean, and we were the number one dealership in town back then. And I mentioned to you before, a lot of those guys raised me in the business. I mean, I was selling cars with pros. I'll call them pros because they'd been doing it forever. They were a lot older than me, and I was the young buck. And I used to have that East Side grammar, used guys and all that, and they taught me that, hey, you can't be talking like that out there. And and they taught me, you always shake a woman's hand if it's a husband and wife. You go to that woman first, because 9 times out of 10 she's going to be the one that makes the decision.
For sure.
So I love that. I love the fact that they always taught me how to just about credit, manage my money. And so I'm grateful for them old car dogs, and lost a couple of them dudes during COVID, to be honest with you.
I was gonna say,
those guys got old on me. I don't think I got old, but I think they got old on me, and a couple of them, the car business is tough. If you everyone likes to order fast food and eat, because you're just going, and it's a
you got to be on the lot.
It's a competitive lot, especially if you're at a place like I was, and so everyone's trying to eat on the go, and it's stressful. It's stressful. I never thought I never looked at it as being stressful, because it was just like,
it's all you knew.
And I was doing other things, coaching and whatnot. So I didn't ever think of it as stressful like those guys did. But it it could wear you down, man. It really can. It's feast or famine. 0 to 0, they call it.
No, yeah, for sure.
0 to 0 every month.
I'm sure one Saturday you're slanging 3 cars, and there's a week that you didn't sell a thing.
Exactly.
You gotta take the wins with the losses, for sure. That's one thing I learned in my short sales stint.
Yeah.
And it's kudos to all the salesmen out there. That shit is not easy.
Mad respect, for sure.
You really are salesmen still. You just don't know it.
Yeah, but I just post my life now, and it's like, everything else kind of sells itself.
Yeah.
It's either you want it or you don't at the end of the day. But
being straight up.
That's 100%. Yeah. Being realistic. If somebody asks for something that I don't do it, but here's 3 people who do. Boom. Way better than me, Yeah. But so, on the topic of cars still, you mentioned COVID. So how did that affect the car industry?
That's actually when it really changed to what's going on now. Is a lot of people got put on unemployment, because you could only have so many people at the building at once, and then. But the place I worked at, we navigated through it pretty good. He was able to go to the auction when the price of the cars went up, because there wasn't very many, right? Just because COVID slowed down everything, he'd go buy all of them.
Oh, wow.
And even though he's paying $2-3 grand more than he normally was, we had our lot full, so he was able to bring us all back pretty pretty fast. And everybody else's lot, I mean, I don't know if you guys drove by the lots this past couple years, but they kind of like figured operating slimmer is just as advantageous or beneficial. You know, so I think that's what a lot of dealerships are doing. They're operating with a slimmer inventory. And it seems like it's like the American way now, right? Is either you want it or you don't. Next person will buy it.
For scarcity.
For sure, You know, like, oh man, if I don't get this. And I mean, you're in sales. I'm sure they told you never show them more than 3 cars.
Right.
Never.
Right.
They're just going to walk, you know. I feel like if this is your limited options, you're like, oh man, like what am I going to do? I don't want to go to Springs, you know. Then I'm like committed to a deal if I go up there, you know.
Right.
I feel, man, that's... Even Square Appointments has a thing to make you appear more busy. You know, it's all a psychological thing, you know. Shoes, you know, they're limited numbers everywhere. Like,
I do it myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll go to a store and I'll be like, oh, the more expensive obviously means the better, right? Dummy. The worst.
Yeah.
We call ourselves laydowns. The salesman's the biggest laydown, and I am. Like, I'm sitting there all the time and like, oh, well, if I don't do it, someone else can do it, so I better do it. You know?
Yeah, no, for sure.
That's kind of the mentality that I mean, I know a couple dealerships. I know every dealership is like, this is the price. We can't afford to negotiate because I ain't gonna get another car. For 6 months. I'm sorry, you're my cousin, you're my brother, whatever. But if you don't buy it, I got it sold in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
Yeah, it puts you in a weird spot.
It sucks, but it's the truth. You know,
There's not enough supply.
not enough supply
for anything. But the companies don't really. They've learned through COVID. You don't need a warehouse full of supply because why? My demand's so high. It's fine.
Yeah.
I've got a couple buddies that that are in the dealership and that are owners, and I think they said that last year was as good a year as any.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so what does that tell you?
Yeah.
You know, it's
and it's like a lot of these states are passing laws to where you can sell cars without the dealership now. And then like Tesla, Tesla, Cadillac, I saw an order. Like, you just order your car now. You know what I mean? They're like doing it on demand.
That truck's doing it too now,
And it's like, the Rivian truck, a lot of these electric cars, they're like on demand order. So it's really, really changing. So I'm kind of curious to see where that will be in 10 years or whatever, you know.
Well, go ahead, Dan.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I mean, like the Prius was kind of the first one to do it, right? The electric stuff. And I don't know if you guys were selling a Toyota Prius at, Spradley at that time, or if your transition had happened. But, I mean, what was that like? Were people skeptical?
People were excited.
Yeah.
You know, I was selling cars at Pueblo Toyota right in that time, about 4 years after those started coming out. And people were excited, and they just couldn't believe, just how efficient they were.
Oh, for sure.
You got the old.
They were ugly as hell, but yeah.
And then you got the old school people that want the American muscle and the loud
V8
engine.
Or nothing.
Yeah. So I always think there's gonna be like. I'm one of them. Like, I never thought I was an American muscle guy. I don't drive fast. I got a truck with a bigger engine, and I'm sitting there saying, man, I really want to get that Toyota Tundra with the electric engine. I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for
sure.
that.
Yeah. I feel like it is a lifestyle change for a second, I was going to say, like, how do trade-ins work? I don't know if you've dealt with that where someone's like, oh, I want to trade in my Tesla for, whatever. Like, how does that work? Is it the same or is it...
Yeah, it's the same. I mean, if it's not in our wheelhouse, if I was a dealership and it wasn't in our wheelhouse, we'll just call one of the dealers and get a buy bid and then just work it that way. So if they say they gave me 50 for it, we'll use 50 and then we give it to that dealership.
Oh, okay. To carry that car. Oh, okay. That makes sense.
And then you get the tax savings still by using it as a trade-in, So there's a home for every vehicle, to be real honest with you. There is. I mean, there's someone wants your trade.
For sure.
Always. And sometimes some dealerships want it more. And you could go to one dealership and get a buy bid or get an appraisal for $20,000, go to another and get 24. You're like, why?
That's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
You
know why? And there's nothing worse for a car salesman to lose a deal over that.
For sure. Yeah.
I mean,
there's other angles you can work for sure.
It's like I was fortunate enough to work at places in the latter part of my career when my name was everything.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to work at places where They just gave you what your vehicle was worth.
Yeah.
Let's just keep it simple. I'm not going to try to steal your trade.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you what it's worth, and I'm going to sell you mine, because the bottom line is the bottom line.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
so
That's true.
That's what I'd say about trade-ins. There's a home for everyone, and some want them more.
I was going to say, I mean, and recently the trends have been, higher trade-ins because of the demand situation. And does that, I mean, obviously they paid more for it. Now they have to sell it for more. So, I mean, it kind of keeps going up and up.
Yeah.
When do you see that falling?
Ooh, if I knew that question, man, I'd be the smartest dude out there, because I know a lot of guys that are smarter than me, and I'm trying to do the math in my head, right? Okay, if my vehicle's worth 40 right now, okay, and it's at the peak, I'm gonna go buy this car for $4,000 over MSRP. So is my vehicle worth 40? It's actually worth 35, right? But at the end of the day, I think when it hits, everybody's going to be in trouble if it hits.
Yeah.
I think what's going to happen is everybody's going to stick to the pay sticker or walk mentality.
For sure.
So they could soften that blow on trade-ins,
Yeah.
Because if they start selling them for invoice like they used to, and then they cut your trade-ins, in half, people paid, let's say, for instance, David, you went and bought a used car. You paid $5,000 more than you would have last year. Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's say in these next 6 months, the trade value of yours drops, the bottom hits, okay? So now you're driving around a car that you're $10,000 upside down in.
That's what I'm saying, right off the rip.
So guess what people are going to do? 10, 15 grand, right? People are going to let them go. And then we're going to have that, what was that, 07, 08 all over again. And I don't think I think we're smarter than that this time.
I think so.
So I think that the days of buying vehicles for invoice or $1,000 over are over.
For sure.
I think they're over, and I think the dealerships are smart enough to be like, let's stick to like almost a one price.
Yeah.
What's their name started that, and I think that's kind of what it's going to be.
For sure. Yeah. I know a lot of places claim like, oh, there's no negotiating, no heck. You're still negotiating.
Yeah.
It's probably not as much.
Not as much, but they're always negotiating.
No, for sure.
I was gonna buy a car in 2020, and it was on Carvana for $13,000-14,000. I ended up buying it in 21, same car pretty much, but I ended up paying I think $2,000 or $3,000 more.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yep. Same car, same year, and everything. And I got that car. Well, actually, I got it in 2022. I guess got it January of this year. And even now, I mean, it's gone down probably about $1,000. So I bought it the worst possible time, I'm sure, for when I bought that car. But it's just up and down. It's really interesting.
And nobody knows what to do.
Yeah,
when to do it.
No, for sure. I saw that. I was upside down off of a bad deal I got locally. A shit trade in. I'm talking $3,000 on something I could have flipped for $6,000.
Yeah.
Like if I can go back then and beat the shit out of that dude and then slap the shit out of myself, I would have. But I was like $8,000 upside down on 2 Infinities. Like it was bad. I was
There's nothing worse.
young, working a government job. The money's coming in. Fuck a government shutdown. We still got it. It doesn't matter. And it was a bad trade in. I wanted the car, and so I got out of that car for a car that had better gas mileage, still like equally as nice. And when I saw trade-in values were like through the roof, that's what I did. I started on the one end of Highway 50. I was like, what's the trade-in? What will you guys buy it from? I'm not buying a car from you. I'm getting out of a car loan. I have 2 other cars I paid cash for.
Yeah.
And just to see who would pay the most for it. And it was negotiating between, 2 different dealerships, me driving back and forth to figure it out.
Yeah.
And, I got out of that loan there was some cash on my end, but not nearly $8,000 worth of cash, just to get out of that loan, so I couldn't imagine buying a car right now if you didn't have to and you didn't pay cash for it, I mean, do you see, the third party market, like your Facebook, Craigslist dealers and stuff like that? Do you see them kind of blowing up bigger than what they are?
No, I don't. Just because these dealers know what they're doing, like the manufacturers know what they're doing. They're seeing this trend that's going, and I think they're going to be smart about it. And at the end of the day, it's like anything, you want to be able to go talk to someone.
For sure.
Like me personally, like I'll pay a little bit more just so if I have a problem, I could at least go to somewhere and be like, hey, look, you told me this, or hey, somewhere. It's just hard when you don't have that. And I think that a lot of people still want that feel. And not to mention, you know, they make it so where you got to buy from the dealer if you want to get your
tax credits,
your
incentives.
certain, like Toyota does a thing called Toyota Care,
For sure.
which is 2 years worth of oil changes for free and tire rotations. You got to do that at the dealership to get it. You know, so there's a lot of different things that they're kind of trying to do because, hey, let's be honest. I mean, us car salesmen, and we aren't rocket scientists. We're out there showing you a car.
Yeah.
We're giving you what the manager tells us to do, and then we're shaking your hand, telling you goodbye. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, somebody online could do that for
sure.
for people. You
And
know,
I feel like that's what Carvana did, was cut the middleman. Now they're, you know, I think they're not doing that hot right now, right? Carvana. I did see something where
know.
with the gas prices rising and everything, it's not beneficial to ship a car from Florida to Colorado for somebody to be like, I don't like it.
Well, I
You know,
guess
the
that
sight
makes
on
sense.
scene, you know,
Right.
like it's not very cost effective, you know, but
well, and then, you know, what if they get some bad reviews? Hey, bad reviews go a long way.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know that.
I'm
what
sure,
I learned about Carvana when I got my car is like they load it. They like my car came from Salt Lake City, I think, or something. They just load it up on one of those big transporters, right? So it comes by a semi truck, and then they dumped my car off in Springs with 10 other cars or whatever, and then that one Carvana came and brings mine down. You know what I mean?
For sure,
So,
So they got the local branches.
So well, and I think that I honestly think that the Carvana driver was like a subcontractor. Even
oh, for
you
sure.
know what I
He's
mean? So
probably a hot shotter.
yeah.
pretty much. But they have that Carvana truck, so it is kind of interesting. But
It's very
I mean, you know, the used car market, like on
Yeah.
Facebook and stuff, like it's worse. It's way worse. There's nothing worth buying on Facebook Marketplace for car wise
Oh my
anymore.
God. Yeah.
Well,
and
this-
the prices these people want, you're like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go to a dealership, dude.
Well, this is what I know, that if you got someone in front of you or you got someone on the phone and you're not lying to them, you're just being straight up, they'll come in and buy it from you.
For
You
sure.
know, it's that simple. And you just got to do business the right way. And like, to be real honest with you, like Carvana or any of those places never worried me. Like, it was always like, if I got someone online and I'm talking to them and, you know, I'm like explaining to them, I go get them pictures, stay in touch with them, set an appointment, they'll come down and buy from you.
Yeah.
You know, it's the people like I said, I've been inquiring on a Toyota Tundra and a new GMC. So I've been calling dealerships, and man, it's like up north, especially, it's like they're rude.
Oh, yeah.
They'd be like, "Oh no, you're waiting 4 or 5 months." I go, "You sure about that?" "Oh yeah." It's like, so they must be making that kind of money right now, where they don't really have to
care about the customer.
I mean, I'm talking phone call after phone call. Everyone treats you the same right now. You know, when you're asking about something like, well, oh no, you got to give me $1,000 credit card right now, and you're still waiting 3-4 months, and I'm like, for real?
Yeah.
Are you sure about that? Yeah, oh yeah, I'm sure. And I'm like, now I'm starting to believe it. I'm like, okay, well, I guess maybe I do, but I'm not gonna do that.
No, of course
You
not.
know?
Yeah, we'll wait 3 months, see where the shit goes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
someone who ordered theirs, you know, might not be in a good financial situation. I'm just gonna swoop that, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of like Brad's Tesla that he has ordered.
I ordered a Tesla in September. It's still not ready.
Really?
But by the time it gets here,
It's because I bought the long range, but you get the performance, you get the more
Nice. I
expensive
know what you're
ones.
talking about,
They're
yeah.
like, all right, man, here you go, take this. It'll be here in 3 weeks, 4 weeks. You get that cheap version, of the Tesla. It takes them a year to get here.
That's
crazy, yeah.
But you know, like me personally, when they started saying that 3 months ago, put money down and you build yours, and I was like, I'm not gonna do that. I wish I would have. So you're right.
Prices
So,
keep going up higher
yeah.
now.
'Cause
I
he
got
told me
my
about
model
it,
for
yeah.
58, the exact same model,
Yeah.
66 now. It's crazy.
See.
It's insane.
See, so
and they
you-
they keep raising their
yours
prices.
is locked in though.
Yeah, once you order it, you lock the price in with
Yeah.
Tesla. So
Good
I mean,
for
that's
you.
kind of cool. But
You're gonna make money off that if you want.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
you can get blacklisted, I guess, from like just flipping your car
Yeah.
immediately. But I was
Yeah.
like, well, it's not my
They're
wife's name. They can blacklist
Yeah.
me, I guess.
it's whatever. Who cares? They're gonna do the same shit.
Yeah.
You know?
my wife, we bought her a Tahoe last year, and someone told me, you could sell that right now for $20,000 more, and I'm like, what? And I looked, sure enough, you could.
That's
and
insane.
I was trying to I was trying to convince her, let's sell it. She's like, no, I love my car.
I know that's the thing. I get a Tesla, like I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
No, for sure. And I mean, so you've worked through, you know, gas price hikes and stuff like
Yes.
that. You know, is there more? You know, is there a difference? Do you see like increase in sales, decrease in sales? I mean, people might want to go to something more efficient at that point.
You know, I wouldn't say that you see that big of a difference, to be honest with you. Like in 07, I remember getting rid of my Tahoe. 08 because the gas prices were so crazy. I said, and I took a loss. I was in your shoes where 10 grand, even though I was in the car business, I owed 10 grand more. I had to take out a separate loan to pay that 10 grand. And so I could get rid of it. You know, I took my losses, but I don't see that happening now. The one thing, because I'm, you know, a loan officer now, I think a lot of people are refinancing their house because they got so much equity in their house right now. They could pay off those loans that are kind of hurting them right now. You know what I mean? And so I think that that's something that I've seen is like, hey, I think a lot of people are going to have to. I mean, you know, I see everyone posting about gas prices at the pump, and then they, you know, not to get into politics, but then they post that Biden thing, you know, and I'm like, I want it so bad to just respond and be like, I did not buy my truck for gas mileage. You know? I bought my truck because it's a truck, you know.
I
Smiles
posted,
per gallon.
I posted a picture yesterday from Yahoo Finance. That shows prices around the world. Like Europe is at $10 a gallon in Europe. And I posted on there. I was like, oh, I can't believe Biden's raising prices everywhere.
I like that.
No, for sure.
But I mean, the gas prices are a real hot topic for some reason now. I mean, but if you buy a truck, it's like, dude, I don't know what to tell you, man. You knew you're getting 12 miles a gallon.
You bought that Jeep Rubicon. You put fucking big ass tires on it and a light bar, and you're pissed you're getting 10 miles to the gallon. You knew that.
I always tell people, I was like, if you can't afford the gas, then just sell it, man, because you can't afford the car, apparently.
Well, that's what I love doing is when my coworkers, you know, because I bought in trucks and big SUVs here the last 10 years, but Paul, how much does that cost you in gas? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't buy it for gas mileage, guys.
I just set the clicker, man. It's always the last click on the thing.
They're trying to crack me. I'm like, no, I'm not even fall for that.
No, for sure. I mean, unless you're like really commuting, you know, what are you going to not drive? You know, like, work a little harder, find you another side hustle, do something, you know, to offset it. You know, hopefully this opens people's eyes to real, you know, like we were talking about multiple streams of income and stuff like that. And we'll definitely get into that. But
so I'm kind of interested, like how the car market, how being, you know, working in the car industry to the mortgage industry translated. Because now you're in the mortgage industry, which is in a whole nother realm of complexity.
Everyone makes fun of me. They're like, man, as soon as you got into it, Paul, the rates skyrocketed. Because I got into it at the end of last year. Took me three times to pass that test, by the way. That loan officer test is I haven't been in high school in 25, 30 years, right?
For sure.
But anyway, the way that kind of happened was, I have a friend in Arizona, and he's been doing mortgages, and like I said, in 04, I got out of the car business, and I was doing houses, and what we were doing was we were fixing them up and flipping them. So I kind of had and we were doing them like crazy, and then the boom happened, or the bust happened, and it was like being unemployed. So I got back in the car business. My buddy weathered that storm. He was in mortgages and he moved to Arizona. He's a millionaire now. You know what I mean? And I'm sitting there, and I go out there and hang out with him every once in a while, and he's telling me, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, man, that's like right up my alley, because he's talking about relationships, taking care of people. And I'm like, well, that's what I do in the car business. I mean, I'd sell 15 to 20 cars a month, and it was 15 people that I knew that were coming to buy cars from me. 15 loans a month is a totally different, you know what I'm saying? You get paid a lot more per loan. And so I started thinking about that. I'm like, well, if I get into loans, I'm going to be my own boss kind of, right? And I'm going to be able to help people with the biggest purchase of their life.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I did it, and I'm glad I did it. Even though I'm weathering this storm right now with the rates, I love it. You know, I do. I love it. It goes hand in hand kind of with cars. You know, you're still helping people, you're still following up with people, you're still trying to give them the best option that makes the most sense, you know. And so to answer your question, I hope that's kind of what goes hand in hand, you know.
Yeah, no, definitely does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know mortgage rates keep going up, and sounds like the feds will keep raising rates this year, so they'll probably keep going up.
Till the end of the year is what I'm hoping.
Yeah. Do you see? I think they're meeting 4 more times this year to potentially raise the Fed rate. So we'll see what happens with that. But do you see any difference? Because the 15 and 20 year or 15 and 30 year mortgages were pretty much the same interest rate like the last couple of years. Are you seeing a discount? Is it making more sense to do a 15 year?
Yeah.
Is that rate slowing?
If you could handle it, absolutely. Yeah. It's almost a point better. You know?
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then arms are making a return.
That's what I was going to ask them. That's my next question.
The arms, you know.
What is an arm?
Yeah, you know, an arm is like it's an adjustable rate, so it will adjust every year on you.
Oh, okay.
And it'll go up. You know, you start off lower, and it'll go with the way that the market's going, and so it's kind of a good thing right now because you could get obviously a better rate right now than you would on a 30-year traditional or 15-year, and then as they adjust, you know, like you're like, well, Paul, I want to take advantage of this arm. It's low right now, and I need to refi. Cool, let's do it. And then next year, when rates are good again,
you refinance
whenever they
refinance
are,
into a
yes,
again. Exactly.
Even if it's like in the next 5 years,
that makes sense.
You probably might be better off doing the arm, and then in 5 years, whenever within 5 years, you can refinance back to the
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I bought my house under an FHA CHFA loan, and CHFA's not a thing anymore, right?
Right. Well, it's still a thing, you know, but the thing about it is you know they've changed their rules so much where it's not even the best option. It isn't the best option for first-time home buyers a lot of times now, you know, and there's so many different programs out there to help people with their first-time purchase and beat CHFA's rates, you know.
Yeah, for sure, and the bullshit that comes along with that.
Yeah, you know, you're kind of stuck in that loan until 10 years. You know, it used to be 10 years you got to stay in that loan. Well, you don't have to do anything.
No, I think it was like 5 years before you use it as a rental and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think I refinanced like after 3 years, and that was the best decision ever. My damn mortgage went down like $300. Like you don't carry that stupid mortgage insurance and all that other, you know, like so stupid. But I mean, it got me into the house. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it served its purpose.
There you go.
You know, it's if people aren't educated on that part, you know, that's on them. But you know, it got you into the home.
Yeah, you got to get with someone that knows what they're talking about and that's actually going to help you and isn't just looking at it as a paycheck, you know.
For sure, yeah.
That's one thing I was quizzing a lot of the successful people in the industry was like, what do you feel like is the number one reason you're successful at what you're doing? And they said, all of them said the same thing was, do not put people in a loan just to make a paycheck.
For sure.
Tell them it's not a good idea. Show them why, and then give them a reason. Give them an option. You know that makes more sense.
Alternative, yeah.
And if they don't want to go with it, 'cause some people won't.
No.
Some people are stuck in their ways, and hey, at least you did your part.
Yeah, this dude on TikTok said this. Cool, do it. You know.
That's why I went to go work with Vern Larson at Advantage Mortgages. When I was quizzing him about what he would do in this scenario and that scenario, he was like, "That's not a good loan for him. I wouldn't do it." And I was like, okay, that's the guy I want to go work for.
For sure.
That isn't all about just money.
Moving it.
Yeah, he's like, people in Pueblo, you know how it is. Hey, you do one person wrong, boom, it's all over social media. It's everywhere.
They told 20 people. You do them right, they told their dog. You're like, thanks.
So, hey, I mean, it's a gift and a curse, right? Because, it's like, people in Pueblo will take care of you if you do them right. You know what I mean? And but at the same time, you don't want to do nobody wrong because small community and word travels fast.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I've learned the hard way both ways. Like I ain't gonna sit here and lie and say, oh no,
you can't be doing something that long and not piss off a couple people. I've been doing it for 6 years. I've probably pissed off twice as many people as I should have.
At least a couple.
But here we are.
Here we are. Yeah, cool.
So my question is who's the main customer right now? Are you seeing? Is it still like people buying home? Is it refinancing? Is it investors?
Flippers, yeah.
Me personally, it's refinances, which is weird because the people we do most of our business with is a United Wholesale Mortgage, UWM, and they're tripped out by me. They're like, how are you still doing so many refis? And it's because of people I know that want to refi and to pay off some debt or do some use their equity,
get the cash out.
Yes, but to answer your question, it's purchases around the nation right now is is that's the new thing, is, you know, is because, you know, they're thinking, who wants a refi right now with rates the way they are? I'm going to leave my 2.5% interest for a 5.5, you know, what the difference in payment in that is, you know. So purchases is where majority of the business is. And, you know, I don't know if you've seen the developments here in Pueblo going up, but I think that the real estate market here in Pueblo is strong. I read that in the month of May, everyone's home value went up 4 or 5%. So it's still rising. And, you know, some people are saying, you know, you got to be careful what you read, first of all, you know, because, you know how it is. But I read that, you know, the market is topping off, where it's going to stop now. It's going to come to a complete halt, blah, blah, blah. 4% in May. What does that say?
True.
Yeah, I mean,
you know?
Pueblo's a different market too.
It is,
you know,
a different
real
beast.
estate is interesting because you can't. It's hard to look at it nationwide for sure. But Pueblo is different than Springs, than
anything,
and Denver. Like,
Yeah, I mean, when the marijuana industry came here, I think that was the start of the boom. Personally,
Yeah,
you had a lot of people from out of state coming in, and they're selling their house in California, paying cash on this, and they have enough money to open up a business. You know,
Yeah,
like
you're
it's
right.
totally crazy.
You're right.
I bought my house for $177 in 2020. Probably. I mean, in 2 years, because
320.
I was looking at some houses for sale in my neighborhood because I would like to try to buy just a rental property. I want to have 2 houses here. And there were some houses a couple blocks away for $300, and I'm like, well, my house is bigger and nicer than that one. You know?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
It's crazy.
Like, I should just refinance mine and use that for the down payment on the second one.
Houses in the
That's-
hood are going for $250 now.
Oh man, you know, I've been seeing these flips on 8th Street, and you would never know. I'm like, oh, this is the wrong listing, and you open it up, it was like started as a 600 square foot house, and we did a 700 square foot addition, and they made it look modern. That you know, xeriscape the front yard, and you're like, wow, where is this? 8th Street ain't that bad, you know. I bet you there's some fire taco trucks around here, you know. Like,
Those are on 4th Street.
you're right.
Shout out to all them landlords and investors that went through the hard times that hung on to them, man.
Yeah, no, exactly.
It's paying off big time
For
right
sure.
now.
I looked at the Zillow report on that one specifically. It's selling for it's listed at $319. We'll see if it goes, but it was bought 2 years ago for $90,000.
Yeah, makes sense.
So crazy.
And you get long-term capital gains since you held it for
For
15%.
sure. Yeah,
15%.
Smart
but-
man.
It's totally crazy.
Yeah, when we were looking for our house, we looked at like this 1,000 square foot house on I think it was on 12th Street for like 120. And the real estate agent was like, I mean, you can buy it, but that's pretty much like 120 on these sides where it's at.
Yeah.
And now they're like 200, 300.
You're like, shit. I mean, there's even new developments going on, you know, between
saw
Joplin and stuff, and they look nice. They look really nice, you know. Hell, even the new PJs look great, you know. Like,
Hey.
man, that thing's looking like Eagle Ridge. You
Right,
know?
right. I was that guy. I was like, oh, I need a new home. I need something new, something bigger, blah, blah, blah. And I'm looking at the prices, and they keep going up and up. And before you know it, I was stuck. I'm like, okay, I can't buy nothing new. So I just refied my house and remodeled it
For
little
sure.
by
Yeah,
little.
put
And
some equity
I
back
feel
in
like
it.
it's new, you know?
Yeah, new to you for sure.
Yeah.
You know, and you didn't have to move everything, you know, which is the best part. That's the worst part.
To go back onto what you said about Pueblo being a different beast in general, in the car business, I'll never forget, I had a general manager they hired a headhunter to find us a new general manager. My buddy Jim Sturk, the guy I told you about, he moved away with his family to Montana, I believe. No, not Montana. Idaho. Anyway, Boise. So we were looking for a new general manager. They found some guy from Connecticut. Hardcore dude. Came in, fast paced, boom, 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 started firing people like crazy.
You're like, oh, shit.
Yeah, and go get that person out of their car. No, they're not leaving. Blah, blah, blah. I'll never forget, I had this lady. She was trying to leave because her husband was deployed and she needed to talk to him, right? He's like, he got so mad at me. Where's she at? I go, she's right there, you know? He's like, I'm going to go. And he goes and talks to her, brings her inside, you know, just drilling her. And I'm like, I'm sorry, you know, like, you know, and anyway, he did that a lot and pissed off more and more and more people. And finally, he ended up getting fired, you know, but he just could not understand that, like, we're not a big city.
Yeah.
You can't just treat people like that and expect to get away with it. Like, people are going to tell people, and you know,
Yeah.
you're going to make people mad. And, you know, he lasted about 6 months. And I remember saying to myself, Pueblo is different. You know, we're
Sure.
different.
Yeah.
We should be proud of that. You know?
mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, if people, this is how weird it is. If people would have found out he was from a different state, they would have boycotted it altogether to begin with. You know, like, oh, you brought somebody else in? Like, nah.
The sad part is I think he ended up suing because they hired him with some sort of contract and winning.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a
you
bunch
know,
of
whatever.
money.
Yeah.
I bet.
Dang, that's insane.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah, people are super weird. So, switching gears a little bit, at what point did you open up the gym?
I opened up the gym in 2013, but I bought it in 2012.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, I was training kids. So in 07 when I started coaching, I always loved to go throw the football. I was like that weekend warrior dude that just couldn't give it up, right? It was probably better in my 30s than I was in my 20s or my 18s. So anyway, I would go with these kids that I was coaching, and we'd go throw and lift together. Jordan Ward, Beetle Sandoval, and Tybee. But anyway, we'd go throw, and then we just got better and better and better. They became All-State the next year. They got college scholarships. And I'm sitting there saying, well, maybe this is my gift.
Yeah.
You know, maybe this is my gift. And I'd train more and more kids. More and more people started hearing about me and following me. And we'd go lift at the different gyms all over town. I had my little crew of 10, 15 kids.
They probably hated when you showed up. You know?
Yeah, so then we go to East, you know, we did everything. And it started becoming bigger and bigger. And I knew this family that their kid was coming up. And they'd send him to me, and they saw how passionate I was and how I did things. And I asked him, I says, hey, do you think you'd give me $5,000? His name's Greg Rode. He owns TR Toppers. And Greg and Gretchen, they're great people. But anyway, $5,000, I'm gonna get me my own equipment. Carol Spradley said that she'd let me train in the little corner of that stunts building, you know, back there. Yeah, that stunts building. Can you give me? And I didn't even have $5,000 to go buy equipment, you know.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, no problem. Boom, I hustled in the car business. This is the cool part about being in the car business. So I knew I had that $5,000 loan with my buddy Greg. Boom, I hustled, made a bunch of money, paid him off in 2 months.
Yeah.
Hey, I need another $5,000. Boom, did it again. Now I got $10,000 in equipment. I got my own little gym inside stunts, you know, and pretty proud of it. And I started thinking bigger, you know. I started thinking bigger and bigger, and I said, hey, Greg, if I found a property going back to that 04 to 07, my knowledge and being able to fix and flip, you know, I says, would you help me out? He's like, yeah. So a kid I trained's dad was a realtor, called him, boom, found me one. He's like, Paul, here's the thing. You got to pay cash for this within a week because these doctors are looking at it. And I'm like, so I called Greg, and I was like, hey. And he was like, yeah, no problem. Sent me up a little loan. He financed me, set me up a little loan. Boom, paid him off, you know, and
For the building?
Yeah,
Nice.
And it was dirt and 2x4s.
Damn.
So I constructed it the way I wanted. You know, I'd be online looking at different people, I'd go to different seminars, and I just bought more and more equipment with my car sales money. Just kept slowly but surely buying more and more, and now it's a full-fledged business, full-fledged gym, and I'd be lying to you if I said that was the goal. It wasn't. It was just trying to have my own place to do enough for my people. And now here we are. Like, I mean, I told you I had 50 kids in there this morning.
That's crazy.
You know, 50 kids at 6, 7, 8, 9. Boom. I mean, I barely got out of there at 10:30. I was working with one of the kids in basketball and flew home, showered, and came here.
That's insane. Yeah, that's super impressive.
Yeah.
Is that kind of your target demographic there? Is, you know, kids want athletes?
Yeah.
I shouldn't say kids because I'm sure there's collegiate athletes, you know, who want to just be better and be amongst other athletes.
It's the youth of Pueblo is kind of what we're known for. I got some buddies of mine, you know, like doctors, accountants, and stuff that come train with me. And my wife is a teacher. And all of her little teacher buddies, they do a 5 a.m. class.
That's cool, yeah.
So, yeah,
we go to work.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, but what we're known for is the youth here in Pueblo. And you know, a lot of state championships have come through there. A lot of kids have gotten scholarships. A lot of kids call me and hit me up and be like, say, you changed my life, coach. I, you know, hard work pays off, and they're talking about their job. They're not talking about working out,
No,
you
for
know,
sure.
and
You're teaching life lessons.
yeah,
you know?
yeah. And it just feels good to finally have a good name in this town, like that's doing something for our community. Like someone told me one day, they were like, what did he say to me? He says, his kid is like, Coach, how are you so blessed? And I was like, that's a good question. And he left. I didn't have an answer for him. And I was just like, dang, because I'm not the best person. Not. I may not be the first to admit you, but I was like, you know what I've always done? I've always give my time, my energy. I mean, so many kids that come to my gym I didn't charge them $1 still to this day, you know? And I was like, maybe that's why. And you know what? I don't want to ever do anybody wrong.
For sure.
You know, so maybe I'm an okay person, you know, but I think that's kind of when I'm helping others. I think that's kind of like
Paying it off.
Yeah. You know,
No,
so hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, no, hopefully. I mean, I feel, you know, the same, you know, like I'm very picky on the things that I do free. You know what I mean? It's tough being a business owner because it's like, why would this kid pay if this kid's not paying? You know, I mean, everyone's situation is different, and you're a personable guy, so it's really hard to take the personal part out of business. You know, especially running your own. You know, it's one thing when you're on the the lot and you're like, nah, like I'm gonna stick it to him. That dude's an asshole. You know, it's different. You know, and working with kids is totally different. But I feel like there's people who ask me all the time, like, hey, what camera should I use? Why did this happen? Or how do I fix this? And I don't charge them, eventually I do want to go down the road of education and photography. And like, I just want people to have good quality shit. I'm tired of seeing terrible stuff out there, but for now it's like, fix this, try this. This is what I do. Well, let me show you, and I do think it does come back full circle. And to me, that's the most rewarding part. I can close a big deal and like, it feels good for a second, but I still think about like, man, I helped this dude and now he's killing it. That resonates with me more,
Exactly. It's don't be an asshole.
Simple.
If you have time to help someone, cool.
Yeah.
If you don't, hey, maybe tomorrow or something. But I mean, that's the way I try to live is, if you have time to help them, help them.
Yeah, for sure.
Even in the car business, I was like the old dog. Like honestly, this last 2-3 years, I was like one of the older dudes. I'm like, what?
Dang.
When did this happen?
Like, how did that transition?
21-year-olds coming in, and what I used to do is I used to rough up the old guys. Like jack with them, throw jabs at them, and just do all that. And then I see these guys trying to do that to me now. I'm like, oh, I'm the old guy.
Hey, go make your TikToks on the lot, man. Don't talk to me.
But yeah, it happens fast, man. And to go with what you were saying is, if people are reaching out to you asking you that says enough right there.
For sure,
they're looking up to you, and hopefully you could help them.
Yeah, it's definitely. I've never told anybody no. So I can usually see the seriousness in people, and I do come from a sports background. I played sports my whole life, so I mean that kind of resonates with me. You just help people become better. That's the goal.
There it is.
Yeah,
there it is.
It's easier said than done sometimes. When your inbox is blowing up and you're on the way to a meeting, but you're talk to text and you read it back and it said something weird. But you gave forth the effort, and people don't forget that.
Yeah, my wife had to check me one day. She's like, "You show favorites."
Damn.
She's like, this is like 10 years ago. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, your elite athletes, that are all elite, you show them, you don't ever really, and your other ones that are looking for you to, and I just remember that resonated big time with me. I'm like, I'll never do that again. Like
you were putting them on the forefront of the business.
Yeah,
it's hard not to.
It's hard not to, but just like showing them a little bit more attention.
For sure.
And so now, like, once I kind of realized that, the man upstairs has blessed me, man. Like, there's levels to this, obviously.
Obviously, yeah.
There's levels to this, but everybody's level, the next level for everybody is just as important.
For sure.
And it ain't where you start, it's where you finish. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I've had people come in there that were the best when they were 10, 12. They didn't end up being the best when they were 18. You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't work as hard. Maybe it got to their head, whatever. But that's one thing that I love to say is It ain't where you start, it's where you finish. And there's levels to this, and everybody's level is just as important.
No, for sure.
I think it's
end result.
Yeah, I think it's huge too. Like a lot of people don't take constructive criticism well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people would, their wife would say that, and they would just be like, "Oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about." Or
Yeah.
something.
You're crazy.
A lot of
Yeah.
successful people. I think that's a big key. Is like to take criticism and look at yourself. And a lot of unsuccessful people like to look outwards, or if they hear something about themselves, they just don't think it's true. So
it's easier to
cool
point
to
the
hear
finger.
that you heard that.
Yeah,
like, oh,
always learning,
shit.
bro.
Yep.
Never
Always
stop learning.
learning.
Yeah.
Always learning. As a coach at East, I was always trying to learn to be the best and be on the cutting edge, but make sure I wasn't being that Instagram guy where, oh, I saw this was cool on Instagram, so I'm going to try it. Like, it had to make sense and to go into what we were trying to accomplish as a team or as you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I keep that same concept going with my gym. I keep that same concept going in loans. I kept that same concept going in the car business. I was always trying to differentiate myself, but not for clout.
No.
For the betterment of me as a person and for them.
Yeah.
The
service, the product, whatever it is, the solution now.
Proud of that,
yeah,
bro.
Yeah.
I'm proud of that.
I mean, I feel like all of us here are problem solvers, and it's what's the most efficient way to solve your problem.
Yeah.
And that's why people keep coming back.
Yes.
Just being efficient and straight up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I ran into a guy the other day. He was like, boom, 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 all these excuses right off the get-go. And I go, whoa, I didn't even ask that. And it's like, are we trying to look for a solution, a part of the solution, or are we going to be part of the problem?
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what, dude? My bad. And I love that. You know what I mean? 'Cause
You identified the shit out of that problem. We're good. We got it. We'll fix it.
We got it. Thank you.
No
How
kidding.
funny.
It was cool.
Now, we had touched on goals. So what are some of your goals moving forward, personally in the business, short, medium, long term?
Well, my goal is what the name of your podcast is.
Yeah.
That's one of my goals, is to leave a legacy and just to teach people that if you want something, you could go get it, and just be successful for my families, for my kids, leave them something, and make my wife proud.
For sure.
Make my wife and kids proud, and I think if you're thinking that kind of mindset, I think all the others align up. I haven't really sat down. I mean, I want to retire when I'm 61, which is in 15 years.
Okay.
That's
Good
a goal.
That's a huge goal.
I want to retire when I'm 61. I want to have a house in Arizona eventually.
Yeah.
And I want to help as many kids as I can in this world while I can, because, hey, I'm getting close to 50, and some days I'm like rolling out of bed at 5 a.m. I'm like taking my Spark, my Spark, my Advocare Spark, loading up, and I don't know how much longer this heart's gonna allow me to do that.
Yeah.
But no, that's what I want to do, man. Is I want to help as many people as I can. And hey, when they stop listening, they stop learning, it's time. I could focus solely on my loans. But right now, if they're all feeding to one another, I get so much business from kids that I train's parents.
I bet.
For sure.
Go see Coach Andrada, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that I've been debating in the car business. I was known as Coach. And I was told in real estate, I went to this first function. Real estate's different, there's levels, and the realtors are kind of top of the food chain in my industry. And I went to my first function trying to network, they call it, with all of them. And I was like, yeah, man, I'm Coach. I'm telling all of them. And they were like,
who?
They were like, that ain't a good name. They were like, they must have had a bad whatever with the guy that called himself Coach. I don't know what it was, but they really shut me down, and the coach thing just kind of ended there. And I'm like, nah, you know what? I'm done. I'm still going to go back to it. So yeah.
Stay true to you. Who cares?
Yeah,
make that name for yourself, No, that's awesome. I mean, you touched on it a couple times, but we do have the reoccurring question on the podcast.
Yeah.
What do you want your lasting legacy to be? You touched on it with goals, but if you can sum it all up.
Yeah, my lasting legacy is to be known as the best at whatever I do. I want people to know that I care. You know what? Like when they come to me, I want them to know that Coach cares for them forever. And whether or not that's being considered the best. I don't know, but I just want them to know that when they come to me, they got a dude for life now.
For sure.
And that goes in anything. If you're gonna give me your money to train your kid, guess what? I have your kids back forever.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because sometimes we think as coaches that, oh, that parent, whatever, they're annoying. They know,
I think their kid's the best.
Well,
yeah.
But guess what? They're paying you, Paul. They're bringing their kid to you. So why don't you want to make them happy? Or someone alone. Why wouldn't I want them to make me happy? They're gonna go tell everyone for their kids, their brothers, their sisters. So I just want people to know that when they do business with me, that I care.
That's huge.
Yeah. To be the best. I want to be the best.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. Hell of a mic drop. If it wasn't on
Yeah,
a boom, it would have dropped. Well, thank you so much, man. You were highly requested to come on, so I'm super glad we made it happen, and you were able to touch on a bunch of different industries that we've been kind of like dancing around.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool to bring them all together and really have an insider perspective from everything. So all the links to everything Paul does will be in the description below. Make sure you check him out. Shoot him a follow. If you're in the market. In anything, this dude will sell you everything from ice to your house.
Hustler.
Yeah, that's right. Check us out anywhere you get your podcast. Check out the videos on YouTube. Leave the comments, subscribe, all that good stuff. Ring the bell, and remember, it's not where it started; it's where you finish.
Ooh.
Good night.
Bam.
Boom.